What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Living in Denver. My name is Adam, and one of the videos that I've produced over the last year that has gotten the most amount of exposure and engagement has been about a neighborhood in Denver called Golden. Doing a new video this time all about Golden, but it's going to be a lot more in-depth as a map-style video. Going down to the street level through Google Maps, sharing some of the best neighborhoods when it comes to not only amenities, meaning places to hike, go mountain biking, restaurants, bars, fitness studios, all that kind of stuff, but then also going into some of the most popular neighborhoods for real estate and what kind of homes to expect in each of those areas. You're not going to want to miss this one. Stay tuned. All right, you guys. So, as I said, we're going to go through a in-depth map presentation today of Golden, Colorado. Such an awesome part of Denver. I've spent a lot of time, never lived in Golden, but I've lived right on the outskirts, which we'll talk through a little bit more here in a minute, in Wheat Ridge and Applewood. And for a while, my parents actually lived in downtown Golden. So even though I wasn't living there, I was over there quite a bit. Again, in this map video, we're going to go through just some of the kind of the main attractions of Golden, what brings people to Golden, whether it be for living there or also just for, visiting. If you live in a different part of the state or in a different part of Denver, there's a lot of reasons why you'd still, come over to Golden and spend the day there. So just going to kind of talk through some of those perks of what makes Golden so special, and then also just kind of talk through some of the different neighborhoods within Golden and some of the different types of houses that you'll find in those areas. Really excited to go over all this with you guys today. Looking right here, just on a map view, you can see obviously that this is a further out perspective of Denver, so you can kind of see a lot of the different neighborhoods here. But over here on the far west side of town is Golden. So Golden basically just backs right up to the mountains, right up to the western side of the city. And what makes that so nice is just the ease and the accessibility of getting up to the mountains within literally 5 to 10 minutes for a lot of the people that live in Golden. There's some really good hiking just directly within Golden up to Table Mountain. You can see right here Table Mountain, North Table Mountain, as well as there's also South Table Mountain. And then you also have other really cool spots to go to, like Red Rocks, and also going up Clear Creek Canyon or over to Golden Gate Canyon. Both phenomenal places that are a little bit less trafficked than some of the I-70 traffic that more of the Denver community goes to. So when you live in Golden, you definitely have some of your kind of secret spots that are great for, again, escaping to the mountains and not having to deal with the ever-increasing volume of people that live in Denver and decide to obviously go enjoy the mountains on the weekends and even after work, especially if you live on this side of town where it's, again, only a few minute drive. Let's jump right into it, guys. I'm going to zoom in a little bit into Golden. So as you can see, again, Golden's on the western side of town. Just to the east is Applewood West. I've done a couple of videos on Applewood and Wheat Ridge. In my opinion, this is one of the best spots in all of Denver. It's definitely been kind of a hidden gem for a long time, but people are starting to really pick up and recognize how special Applewood is. But in addition to Applewood, I definitely see the western side of Wheat Ridge also see a lot of that development and improvements constantly being made when it comes to the commercial centers, the retail shopping options that you have available. And then there's also a brand new hospital that has been under construction for several years now that is getting very close to completion, called Lutheran Hospital. I have another video that goes in that in a little bit more detail, but basically Lutheran Hospital is also going to be bringing in a ton of new development, new housing, new businesses, all kinds of good stuff. Today though, again, talking about Golden, zooming in a little bit more here. Golden is not a perfect square when it comes to the boundaries of the actual Golden proper, but the main part of Golden is obviously just downtown Golden, and that's this whole spot on the left-hand side of the screen. There is, though, also other parts of Golden that are a little bit further out. As an example, up north, you've got, some housing up here, as well as a new, really fun brewery/restaurant called New Terrain, one of my favorite new spots on the northern side. This is going up towards Boulder. Over here, you can see Highway 93. Highway 93 is a kind of a back way to access a lot of the foothill mountains over here, such as, again, talked a minute ago about Golden Gate Canyon. But if you just take the Highway 93 and you just take it all the way north, eventually you're going to pass through, like, for example, right here, where is it here? Rocky Flats. And then if you keep going, you get right into Boulder. So this is all Boulder here. Table Mesa is kind of the far south end of Boulder. Chautauqua is the really pretty Boulder picture that you always see where you have, let's see if I can just see a picture of it really quick. I think there's one right there behind me. Yeah, so up here, there's that very iconic picture of Boulder that you always see. I digress, but just wanted to just show you guys how close Boulder is to Golden. It's about a 30-minute drive, and again, Highway 93 just is what takes you directly to Golden without having to go the much longer Highway 36, which will take you into, Broomfield and Denver. So it's a lot quicker route to get to Golden. Or really if you live anywhere on the western side of town, if you're trying to get to Boulder, such as again Wheat Ridge, even Lakewood, but primarily Golden. So Golden has a lot of people that choose to live in Golden that work in Boulder. And the reasoning for that is while Golden is definitely continuing to see a ton of appreciation when it comes to real estate and just home prices, Boulder is still a significant step above even that. Boulder has some of the highest real estate prices per square foot in all of the Front Range. So obviously when you get up into the actual mountains, you're going to see much higher prices per square foot just due to the, the supply demand and just the very, scenic locations that a lot of these very high-end mountain homes are located in. However, again, for the Front Range, Boulder I would put at number 1, and I'd put Golden definitely in the top 5. So going back to Golden, we're going to zoom in here again, just to kind of give you this more aerial view, just to go over a few more things. So we have downtown Golden. As I mentioned, Highway 93 will take you up to Boulder. And then one of the most iconic, really what put Golden on the map, is the Coors Brewery. So Coors has been in Golden, as a matter of fact, as of this week. So I'm filming this in October of 2023. They actually celebrated their 150th anniversary just this past weekend. So they had a big party downtown Golden. They had Brooks and Dunn, which is a country band, perform for free. They had, a bunch of just stuff going on the main streets of downtown Golden. So 150 years, pretty amazing. You can't really see it too well from the being further out perspective, but Coors is just literally downtown Golden. You could walk there within about a 15-minute walk, but it's just right here off of between 32nd Avenue and what we call Highway 58. And right in between the two is all of Coors. So Coors is actually also called Miller now. Miller Coors merged maybe a decade ago. So you'll see both names, but especially in Golden, you're going to still see predominantly the word Coors. Coors has a great brewery tour, just on a little fun thing to do. Again, been around forever, but they've done the brewery tour as well for as long as I can remember. I'm a 40-year plus Colorado and Denver native, and they've been doing this ever since I was, going to high school just around the corner from here in Wheat Ridge. Back in the day when things were a little bit more loose, they didn't even have really a cap on how much free beer you could drink at the end of the brewery tour. So it used to be a spot that people would go to, again, it's probably 20 years ago, but back in the day, because it was a very cheap way to have a few brewskis, because you would do the tour for an hour and then, hang out in the tasting room as long as you could afterwards. So Coors Brewery, definitely put that on your bucket list of just fun things to do when you're in town and checking out Golden, Colorado. So that would be one. Another thing that I'll share with you guys about Golden before we dig a little bit deeper into this is the Colorado School of Mines. So the Colorado School of Mines is one of the most accredited, esteemed schools in all of Colorado. Colorado School of Mines is very difficult to get into. It is predominantly an engineering school. And what's really fun about this school most recently is they've actually had a great football team. They are not in the same division as, University of Colorado or CSU, Colorado State. However, they have been doing a great job in their division. They actually won the national championship a couple years ago. It's just something fun that's really brought a lot of celebrations to Golden in the past few years, is just how great School of Mines is doing with their athletic program. And they're actually doing really good as well this year. Go Miners. So in addition to just the School of Mines, Clear Creek, I want to share this for a minute. Well, we have this higher up view of Clear Creek. In the summertime, people are loving this spot. This is a great place to take your family, or even if you're just, a 20-something and you want a fun place to go meet people and have a few drinks. Clear Creek is just this mecca for tubing. So when I say tubing, I mean go to Walmart or Target and buy a $10, black inner tube and blow it up like a donut, sit in the middle of it with your butt hanging out the bottom and just, roll slowly down the creek here and just have fun. There's a few different spots where it kind of drops off a little bit, where you have little mini waterfalls that are a lot of fun for people. But Clear Creek is a really, really cool spot to check out in the summer. A lot of people, it's really become a place to be in the summertime over the last few years, where there's a lot of really nice landscaping being done, and Golden's just kind of recognizing this and doing a phenomenal job with just creating an environment that's very family friendly, but also just peaceful. Lots of nice grassy areas, picnic tables, spots just to get some shade and, hang out for the afternoon, throw up a hammock even. There's just a lot of really cool little nooks and crannies to enjoy on Clear Creek. And then another really sweet spot is the Golden Mill. So the Golden Mill just opened a few years ago as well. And it is this really creative style of social scene. So the Golden Mill is a combination of almost like food trucks along with a brewery. But when I say brewery, they're not brewing the beer here as much as they're just putting all kinds of kegs on tap. And when you check in at the front door, you basically give them your ID, they give you a wristband, and then you just walk through this little section and every single beer is on tap and it's all self-serve. And what you do is you just walk up, grab an empty mug, you scan your wrist on whatever beer you want to have a sip of, and it basically just charges you per ounce as you pour the beer yourself. So it's a really fun way to try out a bunch of different drinks. If you're in a big group and everybody kind of wants to pay for themselves, you don't want to get caught with the tab. Maybe you're even hosting an event, or you just want to have some sort of a party or activity where you don't have to be worrying about, getting the tab at the end of the night. What's great about this, again, is everybody shows up, everybody checks in and just, shows their ID, gets their wristband. Everybody's doing their own thing. You don't have to deal with splitting the bill at the end of the night or any of that kind of stuff. It's all independent. And that goes both for drinks, but also for food. In addition to the self-serve stations for all of the drinks, which are kind of right in here, there's also, maybe half a dozen, maybe even more than that now, food trucks. But when I say food truck, it's not a typical food truck that's parked outside. It's actually a kind of like a separate spot that's within the building that's almost like their own little kitchen, their own little spot, and they're a little bit more permanent. So they're just there all the time. But they're all, again, just individual businesses within the Golden Mill. So every one of them has their own person to check out with, and again, everybody's paying for this stuff themselves. Great spot to check out. Really nice rooftop, really cool view of the brewery. So I'm just going to flip around and do 180 degrees. So this is Ford Street, just kind of one of the main streets in town. But over here you can see this is one of Table Mountain, really pretty, just iconic mountain. And right through here you can see actually Coors Brewery. Let's see if I can just zoom in a little bit. So again, I just walked up a half a block. So Golden Mill again is right here. Just going right across the bridge here and looking over, and you can see Coors Brewery, and it goes quite a ways over here. And so that's Coors Brewery. Let's go ahead and zoom back out here for a second. So as you can see, this is downtown Golden. There's just a couple main streets, but so it's a pretty small area when it comes to, mileage. It's really just, I would say, about a mile long and really just one main street, which is Ford Street here. There is, Washington Street, excuse me. There's a couple, streets that have businesses on them, but it is, it's a pretty small area when it comes to just size. But Washington Street is where you're going to find 90% of the businesses. Some of my favorites are Woody's Pizza, Table Mountain Inn. There's some really fun bars that have been around forever. I'll show you a little bit more about that here in a second. I'll zoom over to a different view. So now we're at the top of Washington Avenue. So if you walked about a mile down this road, went straight down, we would run into the Golden Mill, which I showed you a minute ago. That's actually not on Washington, it's over at Ford. So it's a couple of blocks over, but as far as just getting a sense of where we are, we're on the far south side of Golden. Over where I was showing you Golden Mill, that'd be the far other side, the far northern side. Table Mountain Inn, been around for a long, long time. Had many school dance, homecoming, prom, had dinners, that kind of stuff before going to the dances. Had a lot of just different family get-togethers and activities here. Really good Mexican food. You go down just half a block, and on the right, Woody's Pizza. Woody's Pizza is maybe, in my opinion, one of the top 3 pizza places in all of Denver. They have a all-you-can-eat buffet. I know with COVID that a lot of that stuff went away, but really, really, really good pizza. I think they're probably one of the originators of some of of the more creative types of pizza, like, I know barbecue chicken is kind of everywhere now, but, they'd have bacon cheeseburger pizza and Philly cheesesteak pizza. They kind of go a little bit, extreme with some of the flavors, toppings, and all that stuff, but just really, really good spot. You come in on a Friday or a Saturday evening, there's going to be a line around the block, people just all up and down this street right here, just waiting to get in and get a table. I would just suggest, if Woody's is on your list of places you want to go to, try and be a little strategic on what time of day you go or what day of the week, because it does get packed. So just kind of continuing down Main Street here, as you can see, lots of, mom and pop, locally owned and operated businesses. Indulge was a fun spot that my parents used to like to go to a lot. They lived pretty close to here for a while, so you could just kind of walk from their place and go in there. They had a similar to the earlier when I was talking about the beers all being on tap. They had something similar to that, but with wine, where they have I don't know how many, maybe 100 or more 100 or more types of wine that are all on a similar tap type system, where regardless of what kind of wine it is, you can get it by the glass. Instead of a high-end bottle, the only one at your table that wants to drink wine, you're able to get that whatever type of wine you want in just a single glass. So pretty unique offering there when it comes to wine lovers. Continuing down, again, just lots of really fun stores. If you keep going down, you'll see the really iconic Welcome to Golden sign. One of my very best friends growing up, they got married in downtown Golden, and they've got this awesome picture of the two of them underneath this sign in the night of their wedding, if they're, their wedding outfits on and celebrating, and, there weren't any cars here. So really, really cool spot. Golden, really, just great place to go. And what I love about it, on top of some other things that we'll talk about here in a minute, but just the walkability. So underrated, especially when you're looking for places to live and you just want that social, convenience of being able to, within a 5 or 10 minute drive of your house, have all of these different options, all of these different restaurants, bars, fitness studios, outdoor opportunities with hiking and biking. All this stuff is just so easily accessible with when you live in Golden. And, let's just use another part of Denver as an example, say Aurora, or maybe even parts of eastern Littleton. There's parts of Denver that if you want to really, get out and enjoy outdoorsy type activities, you're going to have to get in your car and you have to drive for, 20 or maybe even 30 minutes. If it's rush hour, right after work, could maybe even be longer than that. When it comes to just, social stuff, going out to restaurants, bars, all that kind of stuff, obviously that exists all over the place. But what I love about Golden is that it does have that neighborhood feel, where if you live in this area and you kind of find your favorite spots to go, you're going to start to know the people that work at these restaurants and bars, and they're going to recognize you, and you're just going to get that extra level of service. And I think that is something that the world is really starting to steer away from, and unfortunately you don't get nearly as much of that as you used to. And that's something that's so special, in my opinion, is having that community feel, where you feel like you're part of something and you just recognize people going down the street and stop and talk to them for a minute, and just, that human nature piece of living in a specific place in Denver. And Golden has a lot of that. I love that about Golden. That's one of the things that you might not see or think about when you're looking at, potential places to buy and looking at real estate. Whereas if you're, really talking to somebody that's been here before, like myself, I can kind of share some of those extra insights with you. Before we go on any further, guys, again, all my info is down below on the screen. Please, guys, reach out. Would love to connect with you. Even if you're not that far along in your home search and you're just wanting to learn more about parts of Denver, I would love to connect with you guys. I can jump on a Zoom if you're out of state, or if you are in state, you just want to meet up for a drink or for lunch or a cup of coffee, let me know. Again, all that info is down below. So we're going to talk now about one last place within Golden that I really like. Actually, we'll do two really quickly, and that's just going to be, let's get out of the, all right, so what we're going to do now is just zoom out a little bit more, and I just want to show you two other, for when it comes to outdoor amenities, outdoor activities that are right out your back door when you live in Golden. And that's going to be, again, two of these canyons that I mentioned, which is Clear Creek Canyon and also Golden Gate Canyon. So just on the northern outskirts of town up here, you can see Golden Gate Canyon. Golden Gate Canyon has some awesome hiking, mountain biking, even some four-wheeling, some really cool stuff to do, outdoorsy activities that are right out your back door if you live in Golden. So that would be one option. Another one would be Clear Creek Canyon. Clear Creek Canyon is number 6 here, Highway 6. This is one thing that is very important to also mention to you, since you might not live in Denver and aren't that familiar yet with the winter months. When you're commuting to go skiing, up I-70 is predominantly where all the major ski areas are. And when you're coming from Denver and you're going up to the mountains on a Saturday morning, you are going to run into a ton of traffic. Unfortunately, that's just how it is these days. And a lot of that traffic is the worst right outside of Denver. Here's I-70. As soon as you start getting up into the foothills, you're going to pass through Genesee, going up here into Evergreen, and then continuing up into Floyd Hill. And once you come down Floyd Hill is probably the worst when it comes to the congestion and the bumper-to-bumper traffic on the ski weekends. Once you get through all of that, if you notice right here, this intersection, this again is Highway 6. So when you live in Golden, or really if you are in other parts of Denver and you just want this back way to avoid, especially like, for example, if you live in Boulder, this is another way that most Boulderites will also go skiing, is you have the ability just to take this Highway 6 and you bypass all of that congestion and you get on I-70 right here, right before Idaho Springs. So it is just a one lane in each direction road. It's a pretty steep canyon, so it also can be susceptible to bad weather and some other issues going on in the winter months when you're trying to get up to the ski hills, especially on powder days and that kind of stuff. But it is just a little pro tip, a little local insight. I'm sharing with you. Don't tell all your friends, but I'll share it with you guys. This is a really good way to get up to the ski hills in the winter months and avoid a little bit of traffic. You might save yourself a half hour, maybe even a little bit more sometimes by going that direction. And if you're not a big skier, but maybe you fancy playing a few card games or gambling, you also have on Highway 6, the same road that I'm just sharing with you guys. I'm going to do it this way so you can see a little bit better. Instead of turning off of Highway 6 and going onto I-70 at Idaho Springs and going up to the ski mountains, you can stay on Highway 6, and that's going to take you up to Central City and Blackhawk, which are our two predominant gambling areas within Colorado. So 40-minute drive maybe from Denver, depending on where you live, but pretty close, and a fun place to go for an evening. Really nice hotels up there. You can even stay the night. Some really good restaurants. So probably the most popular, famous one right now up there is called the Ameristar. So check that out. And then one last thing, other than the hiking and that Highway 6 that I shared with you. Zooming back in, here's I-70. So in Golden, downtown Golden right here. If you either are also some kind of back ways to get here, one of these is going over Lookout Mountain. Awesome views of just the city and the Buffalo Bill Museum engraver up here. This is where Buffalo Bill is, buried, which is a very iconic person in Denver and Colorado history. He had a traveling show with Annie Oakley, basically introducing cowboys to the general, population. So Buffalo Bill is a very popular, iconic figure in Denver history, as was Annie Oakley. You go up to the museum up there. There's also an awesome venue for weddings. I've had a few friends get married up there. But what I was going to share with you is if you go on the other side of Lookout Mountain from Golden, over here you've got Genesee, but before Genesee, over here you've got Red Rocks Amphitheater. So Red Rocks Amphitheater is within about a 15 to maybe 20-minute drive, depending on where you live in Golden. But if you live in Golden and you're into live music and just something fun to do on an evening in the summer months, Red Rocks is the best outdoor venue in the nation, maybe top 5 in the world. I know I'm dropping some pretty major claims there, but I would honestly stand that up against almost anybody and argue that, and I think win. So Red Rocks is iconic. It is an amazing spot to check out live music. There's also other stuff to do there. A lot of people go there and just exercise. You can run the stairs. You can go mountain biking all throughout this area. A lot of good hiking trails. But again, just another amazing outdoor activity to do if you live in Golden that is very, very, very close to where you're going to live. So Red Rocks is another one of those that I wanted to share with you. All right, guys. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're just going to talk about real estate. So Golden's an area that you really are interested in. Obviously, some of the stuff I've been talking about so far is a reason for, I would think, the majority of people to really highly consider Golden as a place to live. I'm going to talk through just a few of the different neighborhoods, some of just the more predominant, well-known parts of Golden when it comes to places to live. And I would say that the top ones, just to list them off really quickly before we dive into this a little bit more, it's going to be, first off, probably just the downtown Golden area, as well as North Table Mountain. In addition to that, we've also got South Golden, which is, a little bit more spread out, a little bit more stuff going on there when it comes to types of houses and neighborhoods. And then there's a few up in Lookout Mountain, which are going to be a little bit higher end, homes that are on pretty steep cliff sides with really nice views, but, not as common. And then also there's a few spots up in Gold Gate Canyon that we're not going to go too in depth on. That's kind of getting a little bit to the far outskirts of Golden. And then we are just going to just quickly also just talk about Applewood, which I've talked about a bunch before as being an awesome place. And then also Genesee. So Genesee, I would kind of put in the Golden bucket, even though Golden, is up here on the north And then just down here on the other side of I-70 is Genesee. I actually lived in Genesee as a very young child, and my dad was working in downtown Denver and commuting on a daily basis. And yes, it can get to be a little bit of a, inconvenience. However, a lot of people do it, especially if you really have high priority on where you live, being a place that's peaceful and in the mountains and not nearly as populated. So, Genesee is a beautiful, beautiful part of Denver to definitely at least consider and look into a little bit more if that's something that kind of interests you when it comes to being a little bit more detached from the city life. And then outside of Genesee, again, just talking about just the kind of remaining parts of Golden, which would just be kind of the Golden proper and some of this stuff down here in that south, so kind of South Golden area. We'll jump right into it. What I'll do is I'm going to switch over to my real estate specific software that I use, which is called RE Colorado. If I just search Golden, you can see here, these are just the kind of this 2-mile radius from downtown Golden, 3-mile radius from downtown Golden. You can see all these little houses are the current homes for sale. Just to give you a perspective on, this is the end of summer. We just started fall. So this time of year typically is a bit slower when it comes to people, listing their homes for sale. However, it's been a very unique and different, challenging real estate market over the last few months. So there are still a few homes, listed that have been on the market for a few months. Right now, inventory is just under 2 months. We're at like 1.8 months of inventory. If it gets up to between 4, it's really 4 months at a national scale. I think for Denver, sometimes people push that to more like 6 months, but that would be what we call an even market where there's the same amount of buyers and sellers. So right now, since it's only about 1.8 months of inventory, that's what we like to call a buyer's market, meaning that there are not nearly as many homes available as a typical healthy market. We're going to jump in over to a list view, and by doing that, you're going to just basically see here. So this is, again, currently what's available in Golden. This is organized without any filters when it comes to price or type of home, just a single family residence. It could be a detached or attached. So detached is what's predominantly found in Golden. That just means that it's a standalone house. Attached would be an apartment, condominium, that kind of stuff. You're going to find most of the attached real estate options in the downtown Golden area, or some of those also down in the South Golden. South Golden just, again, has a lot of different types of neighborhoods. It's also closer to the schools. Golden High School is actually becoming a very highly regarded school. So if you've got kiddos that are younger or maybe going into the high school age, I think Golden has really turned the corner and has become a great neighborhood and place to live when it comes to schools. So I won't go into too much specifics on that, just to leave that up to you to investigate and explore yourself. But back in the day when I was going to school, I went to Wheat Ridge High School, which was a rival of Golden. And back then, Wheat Ridge was always kind of known as being a little bit better when it came to academics than Golden. And my personal opinion, I think that is definitely flip-flopped. I would say Golden has overall a lot higher reputation now than Wheat Ridge does. So, something to consider when you're looking on the western side of town and potentially in parts of the western side that are going to be in a Golden High School district or potentially in a Wheat Ridge High School district, something worth considering. So right now, the highest in Golden is 4.75, 4,750,000. You've got very nice homes in Golden that have great views, privacy. A lot of these are going to be, there's a few different parts of Golden that these could be in. This could be up in one of the canyons like El Dorado or Clear Creek Canyon. Could also just be slightly up Lookout Mountain. But I would wager to say that any home that's, over $2 million most likely is in an area on the western side of Golden, or potentially a little bit on the northern western side of Golden, where you're going to have views of Table Mountain and just the city in the backdrop of your views. We'll just click on this one as an example. This is actually looks like a rendering, so it's not an actual home yet. So we'll go to the second one here. But yeah, as you can see, backing up to this Table Mountain area, obviously that's not a real cactus, but really cool views of just that western flair, the big, flat top mountains, great sunsets. This home has some nice big exposed beams, almost has a bit of that log cabin type feel, but mixing in some more contemporary stone and stucco. I'll just go through a couple more pictures here. Inside, you're going to find a lot of homes in the Golden area that are kind of leaning into this type of southwestern flair with types of, hides on the floor with different floor coverings, horses. Again, some of that southwestern style with stucco. That style is very common when it comes to Golden. Definitely something that is I would say, hit and miss. Some people love it, some people don't. So if that's not something you're into, no need to worry. You'll still be able to find homes in this area that aren't like that. But if that's something you are into, this will definitely be one of the areas you'll most likely find that southwestern style. As I go right into the third home, I'm seeing, again, that same style, that southwestern adobe stucco flare style of house. This one too, you've got really nice views again of not only just, hills and the beginning of the mountains. What's nice too though about Golden specifically is a lot of the mountains and the hillsides that you have views of, they're unincorporated, meaning there aren't a bunch of homes on these. So when you're looking out at the mountains out of your bedroom or your dining room window, you're not looking at a bunch of houses. A lot of the different views that you'll find in Golden are just looking out at nice, open, untouched, very pretty, pristine, scenic views. And that's not going to change because a lot of this is never going to be developed. So that's really nice perk of Golden. So those are a few examples of some of the higher end homes that you'd find that would again have that nicer view, a little bit higher up through being on one of the hillsides. Going down into more of that, $1 to $2 million range. A lot of these are going to now be a lot closer to the action. Meaning that when you're in that $1.5 million range, a lot of these homes also value the convenience of being able to, whether it be walk to town, that's a possibility, or at least, if nothing else, being able to jump on your bike and be a 5-minute bike ride away from downtown Golden and being able to, again, enjoy all of the great things about being around all the restaurants, bars, all that fun stuff. So looking at some of these, here's a one for 1.7. As you can see, it looks like it's got some hillside, so really nice privacy. Looks like a lot of custom landscaping. I can see out this side, there's definitely some nice views. So with Golden, as with a lot of other areas on the western side of Denver, people really prioritize outdoor spaces and being able to enjoy the, landscaping and being as outdoors as much as possible. So a lot of the homes you're going to find, that style where there's a lot of outdoor seating, patios, pergolas, different outdoor spaces. Looks like a pretty nice house. This actually looks like it might be kind of pushing towards maybe even Applewood. So the one thing I will say is if you're looking for homes in Golden, you are going to deal with a lot of pretty eccentric styles of decor and even architecture. So a lot of these homes are potentially the single owner homes where people have lived here for 20 or 30 years or more and built the home and renovated the home to their specific taste and style. And a lot of times that's not what everybody else wants. So with Golden, you are going to a lot of the time find homes that are going to need a little extra budgeting set aside for some improvements, whether that be just simpler things like new paint, new carpet, or it could be a little bit more extensive stuff sometimes as well, like, just updating some of the, a little bit more eclectic things that people may or may not have done in their homes. So we'll just go through a couple more of these. As you can see, there are some that are a little bit further out of town. When you get into that kind of $1 million range, a lot of these are most likely going to be either in that area north Table Mountain, which is, very close to downtown Golden, as well as South Golden. And just so you understand where South Golden is, so when I was talking earlier about North Table Mountain and just some of the homes we're just looking at, we're up here in this North Table Mountain Park area, which is, a short bike ride or a little bit longer, maybe a 20 to 30 minute walk if you were in some of these further away homes. But South Golden is basically just all of this other stuff that's going on down here. And one thing that's nice about South Golden, as I mentioned earlier, you're closer to Golden High School. You're also close to Denver West and Colorado Mills. So just off of I-70, on the other side of I-70 from Golden, Colorado Mills, Denver West. This is an area with a ton of retail. I'll just click Colorado Mills really quick and get it to zoom in. Let's see here. I'll just click one of these spots. So what is this? This is Denver West. This is the elder side. So this is where I went to a bunch as a kid. Come here on Friday and Saturday nights and just, try and talk to girls and just walk around. And a very popular spot for high school kids. But on the other side of Colfax here, is you're going to find, again, just some of the more typical, brick and mortar type restaurants, Olive Garden, The Keg, all that kind of stuff. But here on the other side, we've got Colorado Mills. And Colorado Mills was built about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that at this point. I'm not exactly sure what year it was built, but they had a huge hailstorm that put the entire mall out of business for I think it was like almost 2 years. It completely destroyed the mall. They had all the glass ceiling. The mall had all this kind of open glass ceiling architectural style, and the hail just destroyed it. There was massive flooding. It just really put them out for a long time, and it's never completely recovered, to be honest. You go into the actual mall itself, some of the stores there are a little bit dated, nearly as high caliber of a mall as like Cherry Creek or Park Meadows, but you'll see that there are a lot of these, little smaller strip mall sections. Sorry, this map isn't going as easily as I was hoping, but you'll see, a lot of these little smaller strips of pretty much every type of restaurant you can think of, a lot of fast food, fast casual. And then there's the actual mall on the other side with, bigger box stores, Dick's Sporting Goods. There's a huge Target over here, or right here, actually, sorry, Super Target. Just all kinds of stuff like that. So just want to show you guys that as just another benefit of being on that south part of Golden is you are really close to the Colorado Mills Mall and just some of that stuff. One last thing when it comes to real estate, I talked about South Golden. I talked about Table Mountain and downtown Golden and all that good stuff. But what I wanted to also just show you guys, so I'm just zooming out a little bit here so you can see here again. All right, here we are. So downtown Golden here, we were just talking about the malls and all that good stuff, but what I wanted to show you is Applewood. So Applewood is just barely east of Golden. Right here, we've got the Coors Brewery, and just on the other side of Coors Brewery, if you pass Coors Brewery, you're going to run into, this is actually the road, 32nd Avenue, that takes you from downtown Golden over to Applewood. And as you get to see here, it's just a very quiet, just nice, peaceful back way to get into, another part of the Applewood area. And Applewood is great because it's a very, it's an old community. It used to be apple orchards. We've got a really nice golf course over here, Applewood Golf Course. But if we just zoom in a little bit quicker here, so we can kind of get this to go. We've got, as you can see here, so I just zoomed a little bit quicker here, but a couple of the more popular streets in Applewood, one of them being Kendrick. Massive, $2 to $3 million homes being built right now in this little parcel. I think there's like 6 or 8 homes. But you just, you go up these streets and you're going to find, very nice homes. They've been very well kept. Areas that have not seen much turnover. So areas within Applewood and Golden, there's such great areas that you just don't see the homes being flipped or turned over nearly as much. And you don't have nearly as many opportunities for value add, meaning finding fixer-uppers and really improving the homes, because a lot of people that live here, they know that they want to stay in the Golden area. They don't want to keep moving. So they just have fixed up their homes themselves rather than moving to a different house. The one last thing I just want to show you guys about Applewood and this area being so special is all of the homes on the right-hand side here are backing up to Rolling Hills, which is a private golf course. Really, really nice golf club. And at the very top of the street, they actually have the Rolling Hills Country Club, the main spot. As you can see, some of these homes are just, really, really nice homes, nice views. When you get up here to the top, you're going to see over here, this is the golf club right up here, but really nice houses, again, that are just really good views. You can cross the street. You got trail access to some of the, really, so you can see right there's a woman that got caught on the Google camera running her dog. So just how peaceful of an area is this? Just awesome. In fact, just zooming over here, I think I spy a person walking up there right now. So very, very cool area that isn't known that well, especially if you're out of state and you don't know this familiarity with this part of the area. This is awesome. So Rolling Hills, definitely check that out too. All right, so going to go back to the map one last time before we close this map video out. Guys, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, please reach out. I would love to just chat more about, Golden, Applewood, anywhere on the western side of town. Club of Rolling Hills is right here. That's what we were looking at the last few minutes. Applewood West, that's some of the other area that I've talked about that is just a great part of the town, great part of Denver. And then as we were talking about for the majority of this video, Golden, School of Mines, North Table Mountain, Coors Brewery, all of the great stuff that Golden has available to enjoy if you live on the western side of Denver. So if you have any questions on any of this, please reach out. Hope this map video was helpful. I know this is a little bit longer style of video, but I really like to dig into the more detailed streets and neighborhoods on this style of map video. And if you have any questions that I can help answer, please feel free to do that. I'm going to go back now one last time to my other screen and we'll get out of here. All right, you guys, there you have it. Golden, Colorado. As you can tell, I am super passionate about this part of the city. I grew up very close to here and have a lot of memories when it comes to restaurants, the bars, the fitness opportunities with hiking and biking, Red Rocks, Lookout Mountain. I could go on and on and on. I really think Golden's a place worth considering if you're that outdoor, just mountaineering, adventuresome, outdoorsy type person or family. Definitely make sure to put Golden on your list of places to check out. All my info's down below. Please reach out. I'd love to connect with you guys and look forward to connecting as well next week on my brand new episode of Living in Denver. Every week I come out with a new one. Looking forward to sharing next week with you here very soon. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you then. Bye.